Hello and welcome. I am Ramesh Ramachandran and this is Voice of the Global South. All right then, let's get started. On the show this week, Israel and Iran launch more attacks as Trump makes up his mind whether to join the war or not. At issue is the Fordo enrichment site, an underground facility vital to Iran's nuclear program. Only the US has the capability to destroy it. The extradition of a Pakistani national to the US over a terror plot exposes Pakistan's jihad factory. And yoga's universal appeal continues to attract followers, including a 100-year-old woman who are drawn to it for spiritual growth, emotional healing, physical well-being, or simply a sense of peace. All that and much, much more coming up on Voice of the Global South. Will Trump join the Iran-Israel war? Will he use bunker-buster bombs to destroy Iran's Fordo underground enrichment plant? Now, Trump has kept the world guessing as to whether he will bomb Iran or not. He says, I may do it, I may not do it. But his spokesperson quickly came back with a categorical response.
Now, regarding the ongoing situation in Iran, I know there has been a lot of speculation amongst all of you in the media regarding the president's decision-making and whether or not the United States will be directly involved. In light of that news, I have a message directly from the president, and I quote, "Based on the fact that there's a substantial chance of negotiations that may or may not take place with Iran in the near future, I will make my decision whether or not to go within the next 2 weeks." That's a quote directly from the president for all of you today.
So we'll probably know in 2 weeks' time, but there is no denying that the US is already involved in the Iran-Israel war. The US has helped Israel intercept Iranian missiles. So perhaps we should be asking ourselves the following questions. Will Trump become directly involved by targeting Iran's nuclear sites? How quickly can he get into the act? And how will his constituents react to the US joining or not joining the war? Will it sit well with his political base?
This is a particular challenge for Trump insofar as a lot of his run for office was initially premised on the idea that he was going to avoid foreign entanglements. And so I think there are big questions too. It's just not just about, well, is this a smart move for us to get militarily involved? But what is it going to get us caught up in? And there are big divisions within the Trump's camp, within the Republican Party, over where exactly this is going to go.
For its part, the Trump White House has urged the president's supporters to trust him as he decides whether to act. A number of key figures in his Make America Great Again movement, including former aide Steve Bannon, have vocally opposed US strikes on Iran. Remember, Trump's promise to extract the US from its so-called forever wars in West Asia played a role in his 2016 and 2024 election wins. And if that is true, why would the US want to join the war? Can't Israel finish the job on its own by completely destroying Iran's nuclear program? The answer is a categorical no. Israel cannot do it alone. It needs the US to take out the Fordo nuclear enrichment underground complex. Fordo holds the key to whether Israel achieves complete success in dismantling Iran's nuclear program or not. Now, Fordo is situated near Qom, a city less than 200 kilometers south of the capital, Tehran. The Fordo nuclear facility is built into a mountain at a depth of about 80 to 90 meters. Now, Israel can destroy shallower concrete structures, but the U.S. has the wherewithal to destroy structures much deeper underground. And this is where the US's massive ordnance penetrator comes into the picture. The GBU-57 bunker buster bomb weighs more than 13,000 kilograms. It can penetrate deep underground structures before exploding. And what's more, it can only be dropped from a B-2 stealth bomber aircraft. Now, if and when Trump greenlights the operation, an unspecified number of B-2 bombers will take off from the Diego Garcia Island in the Indian Ocean and fly all the way up to Iran before dropping the precision-guided bomb to hit its intended target. So get this, Israel may be winning the war in the air, but it would need U.S. help to win the subterranean war. Another consideration to weigh for Washington, D.C. is Trump's obsession with winning the Nobel Peace Prize. Will joining Israel's war against Iran help him or hurt his chances? As they say, it's easier to start a war than to end it. What if the war does not end the way Trump likes it? Then what happens to his Nobel chances? I guess one will have to wait and watch how that plays itself out. Now, Israel claims that it has other options to completely destroy the Fordo nuclear facility should the U.S. choose to stay away. What motivates Israel is that the dismantling of Iran's nuclear program will be the last piece of a jigsaw puzzle that will help reshape West Asia to its advantage. After decimating the Hamas in Gaza, defeating the Hezbollah in Lebanon, and ousting Bashar al-Assad from Syria, destroying Iran's nuclear and missile capabilities will be a prize catch for Israel in its quest for building a so-called new West Asia. But that said, are Israel's airstrikes on Iran within legal bounds? Well, international law experts are divided. Israel says it is acting in self-defense as it fears an existential threat from Iran's nuclear program. Israel calls Operation Rising Lion a preemptive or preventive attack. But a section of the European media says Israel has not presented any evidence as to why it believed a nuclear threat from Iran was imminent. In fact, the spokesperson of Iran's Ministry of Foreign Affairs quoted IAEA chief Rafael Grossi as saying that the UN nuclear watchdog did not have any evidence of a systematic effort by Iran to acquire a nuclear weapon. The Iranian official said on X, and I quote him here, "This is too late, Mr. Grossi. You obscure this truth in an absolutely biased report that was instrumentalized by E3. Here, the E3 refers to the three European countries of the UK, Germany, and France, and the US to craft a resolution with baseless allegations of non-compliance. The same resolution was then utilized as a final pretext by Israel to wage a war of aggression on Iran and to launch an unlawful attack on Iran's peaceful nuclear facilities," unquote. The resolution referred to by the Iranian official was adopted by the IAEA on 12th June. On the following day, that is 13th June, Israel launched Operation Rising Lion against Iran. For their part, Russia and China have urged all sides to exercise restraint and called for a ceasefire. The Kremlin said it was worried that West Asia was plunging into an abyss of instability and war, and that it still stood ready to mediate if needed. Russia, which has close ties to Iran, also maintains close links to Israel. The two countries can be expected to reiterate their stand at the BRICS summit in Brazil. The head of Russia's nuclear agency Rosatom has warned that an Israeli strike on the Bushehr nuclear plant in Iran could lead to a Chernobyl-like catastrophe. China echoed similar sentiments.
We are very concerned about the possible escalation, and I think that it is the view of the overwhelming majority of the international community that we should see an immediate ceasefire and the protection of civilians, and then the nuclear issue can only be resolved through negotiation.
The Arab nations have reacted with alarm too. The foreign ministers of 21 Islamic nations issued a joint statement condemning the Israeli strikes, calling for de-escalation and respecting the international law. Bloomberg reported that with the US now preparing for potential strikes on Iran in the coming days, Gulf states are seriously assessing the possibility the Islamic Republic of Iran's clerical regime falls and all the chaos that could bring. The seemingly endless conflict that followed the Arab Spring uprisings in 2011 and the sectarian warfare and terrorism unleashed by the toppling of Saddam Hussein in Iraq loom large. Which brings me to the question of Pakistan. Where does Pakistan stand in all of this? Now, Pakistan, as is its nature, is playing both sides of the coin. On the one hand, it joined Islamic countries in criticizing Israel. On the other, it quoted the US in a bid to signal its intent to allow the US to use Pakistani airspace, bases and other infrastructure for launching any military offensive on Iran. A classic case of running with a hare and hunting with the hounds. Another key question to ask is, how close is Iran to getting a nuclear bomb? Well, it depends who you speak to. Various reports and studies have given different timelines and estimates. Some say that Tehran would need up to 1 year to develop a working weapon and a year or two to build a missile deliverable warhead. Now, in March, Trump said in an interview to an Israeli newspaper that Iran could have a nuclear weapon in 35 days. Today, his spokesperson says that Iran has never been closer to obtaining a nuclear weapon.
Iran has all that it needs to achieve a nuclear weapon. All they need is a decision from the supreme leader to do that. And it would take a couple of weeks to complete the production of that weapon, which would, of course, pose an existential threat, not just to Israel, but to the United States and to the entire world.
Well, Iran looks weaker than at nearly any point since after the 79 revolution. Any direct challenge to its 46-year rule would likely require some form of popular uprising. Now, whether such an uprising is likely or imminent is a matter of debate. The late Shah's son, US-based Reza Pahlavi, says he wants to lead a political transition. Now, Reza Pahlavi is the son of Mohammad Reza Pahlavi, the last monarch of Iran, was overthrown in the 1979 revolution. He claims that now is the best chance to topple the Iranian regime. He says, this is our moment in history. Now, for his part, Israel's Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu said on 19th June that the change or fall of the Iranian regime was not a goal of Israel's military campaign, but could occur as a result of it.
Our primary objective is to stop the nuclear program and remove it as a threat. The second goal is to halt the advancement of ballistic capabilities, also to remove it as a threat. In the process, it's clear the regime is destabilizing. We're also hitting government-related targets and centers of power. You have seen this with the broadcast center, and there's more to come. But the matter of regime change is first and foremost up to the Iranian people. There is no shortcut to that. Therefore, I have not set it as an official or declared goal. It may be a result, but it is not an explicit objective of our operation.
Now, as for Khamenei's future, Trump says that he vetoed Israeli plans of assassinating the Iranian leader. But Israel's Defense Minister Israel Katz says, and I quote him here, "A dictator like Khamenei, who heads a country like Iran and has made the destruction of the state of Israel his declared goal, this horrific goal of destroying Israel cannot be allowed to continue or materialize," unquote. Now, Khamenei is reported to be in hiding. He has issued at least one recorded video statement from an undisclosed location. Now, just to put it in context for you, the viewer, the supreme leader of Iran is selected for life by members of a so-called Assembly of Experts. Now, in Iran, the supreme leader, who is also known as the Wali-e-Faqih or supreme jurisprudent, exercises ultimate authority over the executive, judiciary and legislative branches of government and is Iran's commander-in-chief. The supreme leader appoints the head of the judiciary, approves the elected president and exerts significant influence over the choice of the Speaker of Parliament. The current Supreme Leader, Ayatollah Ali Khamenei, is 86 years old. According to the Constitution of Iran, if the incumbent Supreme Leader dies in office, the Assembly of Experts should immediately hold a session and appoint a successor. Now, till the time of his death in a helicopter crash in May 2024, President Ibrahim Raisi was seen as a top contender to succeed Khamenei. Today, the names of 3 potential successors are being taken. 1. Mojtaba Khamenei, the second son of Ali Khamenei and his most politically influential offspring. Another potential candidate is Ali Reza Arafi, a trusted confidant of Khamenei. And the third likely candidate is Hashim Hosseini Bushiri. But the New York Times reported on Saturday that Khamenei has nominated 3 clerics as his potential successors, but his son Mojtaba is apparently not on the list. So, even as Khamenei makes the unusual decision to shortlist his successors should he be killed, all eyes are on Trump as he makes up his mind whether to join the war or not. Will he? Won't he? We'll know soon. A Pakistani national has been extradited to the US over a plot to attack a Jewish center in New York City, coinciding with the anniversary of the 7th October Hamas attacks in Israel. The suspect has been charged with helping the Islamic State terrorist group. It once again exposes Pakistan's jihad factory. Ragini Sudhir Chaure has the details.
What if one of the deadliest terror plots since 9/11 had gone unnoticed? In a major breakthrough, a Pakistani national was extradited on the 10th of June to the United States for allegedly plotting an Islamic State-inspired mass shooting at a Jewish community center in New York City. His name? Mohammad Shahzaib Khan, age 20 years old. Also known as Shahzaib Jadoon, he entered Canada on a student's visa in June 2023. But behind the facade of a student's life, investigators say lay a chilling plan. Khan was spreading Islamic State propaganda online and using encrypted platforms to distribute violent content and radical messaging. By November 2023, he had connected with a US-based Islamic State supporter and 2 undercover US agents who posed as an accomplice of the terror group supporter. In those secret conversations, he laid out a detailed plan. Assault rifles, tactical gear, hunting knives, 900 rounds of ammunition, and a chilling objective to carry out a mass shooting at a Jewish center in New York City. In early 2024, he discussed targeting a US city with automatic weapons. By August, he had changed his target to Brooklyn and identified a specific Jewish center there. On the 4th of September 2024, he was intercepted 20 kilometers from the US border. And on the 10th of June 2025, he was extradited to the United States to stand a trial. He sent photos of the Jewish center's interiors with the caption, quote, "We are going to NYC to slaughter them," unquote. Quote, "If we succeed with our plan, this would be the largest attack on US soil since 9/11, unquote. The plot was uncovered by the Federal Bureau of Investigation, which is the domestic intelligence and security service of the United States, authorities and the US prosecutors. FBI Director Kash Patel praised the intelligence operation, saying that Khan allegedly tried to enter the United States to commit an attack on the Jewish community in the New York City, planning an ISIS-inspired mass shooting. Thankfully, the great work of the FBI and our partners shut that down. US Attorney Jay Clayton said that Khan planned to use automatic weapons to kill as many members of the Jewish community as possible, all in the support of ISIS. It's a told you so moment for India. Khan's deputation justifies New Delhi's long-standing global campaign against terrorism emanating from Pakistan, including but not limited to the 22nd of April Pahalgam terror attack. India has consistently raised the alarm at global fora about Pakistan being a breeding ground for radical ideology, and cases such as Khan's only reinforce that message. It calls for a stronger global scrutiny of Pakistan's role in harboring extremist elements and the international community's duty to act against such tendencies. Another Pakistani national, Asif Merchant, was indicted in September 2024 with attempting to commit an act of terrorism and murder for hire as part of a scheme to assassinate a politician or US government official on a US soil, potentially including Donald Trump. Mohammad Shahzeeb Khan has pleaded not guilty and will appear in a US court. He is charged with attempting to provide material support to designated foreign terrorist organizations such as the Islamic State and attempting to commit acts of terrorism transcending national boundaries. If convicted, he faces life in prison. The case of Mohammad Shahzeeb Khan is a reminder the threat of terror is not confined to war zones or unstable regions. It can grow silently behind encrypted apps fueled by hate and stopped only through vigilance. Ragini Sudhir Chore for DD India.
5,000 years ago, on the banks of the Ganga, a quiet revolution began. No flags, no armies, just breath and stillness. Yoga combines the best of ancient Indian philosophy and distilled wisdom to help us enrich the mind, body and soul. It is one of India's greatest exports alongside zero, algebra, trigonometry, Ayurveda and religions such as Hinduism, Buddhism, Jainism and Sikhism. Ayushi Ahuja reports on the universal appeal of yoga.
It was 1944. British troops were preparing for the D-Day invasion. While tanks were being loaded and rifles cleaned, in one quiet corner of England, a young woman was teaching something unusual to the soldiers: how to breathe. Her name is Dorothy Barron, a signaller, a warrior, and today, at 100, a yoga teacher. The Second World War veteran teaches yoga in her English village, from decoding German transmissions to decoding human stress. Her journey reflects what yoga truly is: a weapon of peace. Nobody wins in war, she says.
To the floor. Nobody wins. Everybody loses.
In 2014, India made a bold move. Prime Minister Narendra Modi proposed the International Day of Yoga at the United Nations. 177 countries came together and said a resounding yes. A moment that made history, not for war, not for trade, but for yoga. The maiden International Day of Yoga was celebrated on 21st June 2015. And since then, every year on 21st of June, millions worldwide join in the Yoga Day celebrations. This year's theme is Yoga for One Earth, One Health. Today, yoga is not just about touching one's toes. It's about finding balance in chaos, in chemo, in corporate glass towers. Cancer survivors use it to reclaim strength. Teens with anxiety use it to find silence. CEOs use it before million-dollar deals. Hospitals prescribe it. Doctors research it. The World Health Organization recommends it. On the frozen front lines of Siachen, Indian soldiers perform the Surya Namaskar, salutation to the sun. It's minus 20 degrees Celsius, but their minds are warm with focus. For India's armed forces, yoga is more than tradition, it's tactical. It sharpens alertness, helps with altitude adaptation, and reduces stress in hostile environments. It's where discipline meets dhyan. It means meditation and contemplation. In Brazil, another kind of connection is unfolding. You can even adopt a dog during yoga. Participants stretch alongside the furry companions available for adoption. Where medicine heals the body, yoga soothes the soul. Yoga sessions take place for cancer patients, a therapy and strength to not give up. If you still think yoga is boring or not your cup of tea, maybe it's your beer. In Copenhagen, Denmark, welcome to beer yoga. Yes, you heard that right. Yoga with a cold pint. Dozens gather by the quayside every summer, stretching with one hand, sipping beer with the other. And in the world of celebrities, this ancient practice has found a strong following. US actor Jennifer Aniston credits yoga for its calming and balancing effect. She's spoken about how yoga helps her manage stress, improve her mental well-being, and find an inner strength. While American actor Matthew McConaughey swears by Bikram yoga, intense heat and focus. Brazilian model Gisele Bündchen practices Anusar Yoga to stay grounded. Fellow Brazilian Hermes Massetti, who was recently awarded the Padma Shri, India's fourth highest civilian award, swears by yoga and this ancient Indian philosophy. Other devoted practitioners include Lady Gaga, Madonna, Miranda Kerr and Reese Witherspoon, all of whom were drawn to yoga's power to heal and to transform. From the banks of the Ganges to Hollywood studios, yoga, India's gift to the world, continues its journey, offering balance and peace in chaotic times. The postures are Indian, the peace is global. India's ancient gift, the world's modern answer. Ayushi Ahuja for DD India.
And with that, it's a wrap. Thanks for watching. Bye-bye.